Hello, hello, Carrie. How are you? I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for joining me on this conversation. Mompreneur Talks with Sandy Bastian and Carrie. I'm going to turn it over to you so you can introduce yourself and tell them what you're doing, and then we can have our conversation.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. To hear from you, I love hearing your story and seeing everything you're doing. So, just to be a part of your journey is exciting for me. So, thank you. So, I have a lot of products. The Sippy Clippy was the first. That was licensed, and then COVID hit and it went into limbo, and now it's just sitting. But I have the Flusher Blocker and then the Coffee Stopper, and then my books, like you have a book as well, books, and then I also do coaching and consulting. So, and I'm doing another startup, but I'm really excited to talk about that one too. But it's for authors. You would love it.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear more about it. So let me begin with where we started. I think when I first started my journey as a mom inventor, we connected through a group. I believe you were probably even in the group that I started. But anyway, I know that as a mom or an inventor, there was not many people in my circle that I could connect with and have conversations around, manufacturing, whether or not you're licensed, all the different things that are happening or need to happen for a product. So we connected and I was able to learn more from you. And I remember you just connected me with a few people that I needed on the journey where I was. So I'm truly grateful for that. A lot of the people that I'm meeting and I'm able to have these conversations with, these mompreneur talks with, are people who are on the journey with me. And of course, as you know, entrepreneurship, it's full of surprises, right? You can start with one thing and you end up in a whole different direction. With your Sippy Clippy, I remember listening to an interview about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the Sippy Clippy was? What was the problem you were having? And what took you on this journey of thinking about, inventing, manufacturing, licensing it?
Yes. So the Sippy Clippy was my very first invention. I created it when my first son was like 6 months old. So it's a clamp and cord accessory that attaches to any table or high chair. It's super cute. I wish I had one with me to show you, but it was so the one end clamped on and then the other end went around the sippy cup or the bottle. And so when they threw it, because that's what they do, it would dangle and it would never hit the floor. All the other products that were on the market didn't fit my table or they would unsuction. And I remember telling my husband, I want a big clamp, but like a cute clamp, because it like usually goes into like a mom's bag. And so I went to Home Depot and I bought a big old clamp and I drilled a hole and I put a rope in it and a hair tie at the end. And it's like, yay, I figured the solution. And so when I would take it out, people seemed to love it. I'm like, where did you get this? So I never thought of myself as like truly an inventor. But when everybody started asking, and I know I watched you on one of your other podcasts with another inventor, and you both had said, we get paranoid when we have our very first invention. Like everybody's going to steal it. You have to patent. So that was what I thought. That was a whole nother story. That will take forever too. So I won't go into the patent process. But long story.
Or two, you can if you want to go through that because it's definitely part of your journey. So, and I like what you just said about the fear of someone stealing your idea. Talk to us more about that.
Okay. So I think when you first have an idea and you're so excited about it and somebody else is like, this is brilliant. Like we need this in the market. You're like, yeah. And then you have this thought that, oh my gosh, if I don't do it, I mean, somebody else will do it eventually. Like that probably will happen because if you've had the idea, somebody else has had it. It's just who's going to actually go forward with the idea. And I just got super paranoid that everybody that saw it in public was stealing it. And the reality of that is no, they like it. They don't want to go through the process of stealing your product. If you start making millions, yeah, somebody's going to probably try to knock you off. At the very beginning, not going to happen. And so I thought I better get it patented. So I hired a patent attorney. It turned out to be the biggest waste of money. The attorney that I thought I was receiving was the head honcho, but he passed me on to one of his minions. I don't know how nicer. But this particular gentleman would spend my time with him talking about his cat. And I absolutely love animals. I love them.
Skip up the conversation you wanted to have.
If you want to call me later, we'll talk about the cat, but I'm talking about patent. It ended up being he said the patent office rejected it, and he's like, "You can't move forward." And I was like, "Huh, I don't agree. I think we can." He's like, "Can't." I'm like, "I don't agree. We can." Don't agree. So anyway, I ended up letting him go, and I bought the NOLO book for patenting, and I patented myself. So I received the patent years ago. Yeah, if you believe in something, and this is what I always tell mostly women because I like to work with women. So if you believe in this product and it's not out there and it really truly is novel, you need to go for it no matter what it takes because there's so many naysayers and nobody really cares that much about your product except you. So if you want it, gotta go for it. So I got it patented. Then all the manufacturing costs were outrageous. So then I thought I will go overseas. I did a Kickstarter campaign that failed. I tried doing other money raises and it failed. And finally I decided I think I want to license this. So I ended up after a couple years finding a licensee and then
So let me just explain so our viewers can understand what happened with here. What happened here for you is that you intended to manufacture, and all the different ways you tried to get the funding to make that happen wasn't successful. And so you went to the second, I guess, option, which is licensing. And tell us a little bit about what that is, licensing, so the people that are listening can know exactly what you're talking about.
sure, no problem. And real quick too, with the process of manufacturing, I really wanted to do it myself. And as you know, I have kids trying to do, and they were young at the time, trying to full time be a mom, sick of them in school too, and plus do the sippy clippy was with the manufacturing, it was just almost too much.
Yeah.
And even the money, it just became because we had lived on one income at the time because I have money because I stayed home with my kids. So it was just tight and it was stressful. So when somebody mentioned licensing, which is finding somebody who's going to take your idea and they do all the manufacturing and you receive a percentage of however many sales, whatever you decide on. And I was that particular licensing agreement was I was going to be able to sell my own too on my website, which perfect. So they were going to sell it. I'd receive royalties from those sales, and then I could be able to sell it on my website. And in 2020, we were signing, we had the paperwork back and forth. And I remember this day clearly because I was signing the paperwork and I received a message that said, "Hold up, we're not going to move forward." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "Something has come up." And so my licensee happens to be the manufacturer and the licensee, they work together. One's in the US and one's in China. So the China manufacturer received, well, I guess they didn't receive, they got COVID. We hadn't had it here yet. So I didn't find this out until months later. And I was like, "Oh, that's why my licensing, because nobody at the time was going to do retail because they thought the world is shutting down. And as we saw, retail went, especially for items like a sippy clippy, because it's a wanted item. It would make your life easier, but it's not a necessity. I understood that. I have no ego problem with saying that it's a novelty. It's great. It's a want. So that kind of stopped a lot of things at the time. But during that time, I also wrote a book and then I created the Flusher Blocker, which was my second product. So knowing that that was on hold, I was okay because I was still producing the book and then I created more books and then the Flusher Blocker. And then about a year ago is when I did the coffee stopper. So it's just been, and as you know, as inventors and moms, we don't really know how to like, it's not like a multitask, but it's like we're constantly having to do something.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you're constantly just thinking, and especially when it comes to your kids. And so the flusher blocker, the reason I created that, and I'll tell you real quick what it is. It is a reusable decal that sits on the sensor of an automatic toilet in a public restroom so that you could do your business and then take it off. Yes, for your kid because it's there and you wash it, reuse it, and stick it to the back of your phone.
The ghost flush. I saw your interview. You call it the ghost. Is that correct? The ghost flush.
Yes, prevent ghost flushing.
Uh huh.
But the reason I created it is because my first son's terrified of the automatic toilets, and, it was just a nightmare to wrangle your kid and cover the sensor and put him on, put toilet paper,
Oh
and
my goodness.
I that part was hard, but after he got potty trained, I was like, "We're good." And he has SPD, so it's a sensory processing disorder. It's very mild, but I just figured it was just him. When my youngest son was terrified even more, and the breaking point was when we were at a Chick-fil-A in the little play area, and he, "Mom, I have to go to hunger too." I was like, "Okay, let's go." And he's like, "I hate that automatic toilet. No, I'm not going." I'm like, "We need to go." And he's like, "Not going." And ended up in his pants, got kicked out of the play place too, which was like it was terrible. And I said, "That's it. That is my straw. I'm creating the flusher blocker." And I created it, and it's actually my bestseller. I do actually
Mhm.
create it for a niche item. It's usually sensory, so neurodivergent children. Their parents usually buy it. So it's been a great little journey.
So you were able to manufacture that one. You manufactured it, you're selling it. Where are you selling it now?
I sell it on my website and Etsy, and I just had a bulk order this week from autismproducts.com
Love
to
that.
pick me up. So
Um,
I that was a big deal.
yeah, that's a big deal. Let's go back a little bit to you were talking about the cost and your Kickstarter failing and not getting the funds. I just wanted to kind of address this funding thing, which is probably the biggest roadblock for all of us as inventors, creators. Um, At any with investors, were there any investors who wanted to know how much you've invested in your company?
So when I tried to go the investing route, when I was starting to meet people, I this is on me too. I freaked out because I didn't have the confidence in myself. I think this is something that happens to a lot of moms who go from the working world to the mom world. At least a lot of women I work with, and it happened to me where I lost my confidence into like the working world. I was so used to working with my children that when people would ask, like, what do you do? And what do you have to offer? I would kind of just shy and be like, hello, sippy clippy. And it's like awesome, like
Yeah.
I look back at it and I'm just like, "Oh, that was a good learning lesson." That's why I try to help women now to be like, "No, no, no, you got this. You even got the product. You could do this." So with investors, I shied away a lot from when people would say, "Hey, I have an investor. Would you like to meet him?" Meet it's usually a him. And I shied away and said, "No, I'm not sure I wanna do it that route." I did have one gentleman, but it was a friend of my licensee. He did ask how much I put in, and I honestly had put in, at the time, I think, like, $15,000 on this Clippy, which is a lot it was a lot of money at the time, and I even look back at it, and it's still sitting there, you know?
Yeah.
It's a difficult you're right, it's one of the most difficult aspects of being an inventor. And now that and I went through grants, I have applied, I'm not kidding, like 20 grants, nothing. I struggled with grants, and now grants are being kind of taken out of the way now, which is kinda scary for, I think, women inventors. Yeah, so I struggled moving forward, I would say, with investors because of my lack of confidence in myself.
And I think that investors pick up on that. And the reason why I ask this question is because I hear a lot of people, moms, and even men who say, I have an idea. I would love to, get a grant or get an investor to invest in me. And as you know, and you probably know this more now than before, it's like people are not going to invest in you until you invest in yourself.
Yes.
So I hear people all the time say, well, yeah, I have this idea and I'm looking for a grant and I'm looking for an investor or I want to do this to get money. And my thing in my mind, I'm like, I wish they knew, but I think it's something you have to go on the journey to discover because you're not going to accept it initially. Because I know I was there too, where I was like, yeah, you get an investor, you're watching the Shark Tank stuff, you're watching the profit, and you're thinking that people are putting in money because they just have piles of money available. No, they're putting money in because they know what they can do to get the money out and multiply that money. So it's important. And that's why I wanted to go back to this part because a lot of times we want people to invest in our brilliant idea that you think everybody needs, but you're not prepared to put the money in or the effort in to make it happen. So, very important lesson there. There's something else that I wanted to talk about when you said the Kickstarter. So, that's another way that people can Kickstarter is where you get backers who can pre-order or maybe just you can give them a reward. People who are committed to maybe not even the product, just you as the individual want to support you and they give into your crowdfunding. But you said that yours failed. I remember mine's almost failed. Like, I was seriously in a point of a depression because I'm like, "Oh my god," because I was so, concerned about how was I gonna respond to the people who did invest, and how was I gonna move forward with this idea that I have. So, tell us a little bit about what those feelings were for you when you realized that, "Okay, this is not gonna work." How did that make you feel?
I think it was just, icing on the cake for me at the time. One, when I did a Kickstarter, I thought I was so naive about it. I thought that you get some people a few people to know about it. You get on and the Kickstarter itself, the campaign will run because of the algorithm. But no, that's not how it works. And I was so naive to believe that you build it and they will come, you know?
Well, just to I think that I don't know if I would describe it as being naive. I don't know, maybe that's probably the right word, but I think that it's you don't know what you don't know. It's like, you're and this journey is like I always tell people, I can tell you everything that I've done, but even if you did exactly what I've done, it doesn't mean you're gonna get the same results. It's one of those things where you just have to put yourself out there and see what happens and pivot and adjust accordingly because that's really what it's all about. Like, I think our stories can inspire people and give them some warning as to what to expect. But the only way you're going to know what to expect for you is to actually make the decision to get on the journey.
Spot on. Beautifully said. Yes. And that's a good thing because even if we teach others what to do or what not to do, they have to be on their own journey because they have to learn whatever the lesson it is that they're supposed to learn to move them forward in their journey. If you can listen to somebody else's journey and try not to make the same mistakes, that's great. But with Kickstarter, I would tell every mom, don't do what I did. You have to plan for months in advance and get a lot of people interested in this. And once people, and it has to be within like the first, 24 hours, I think, that to get Kickstarter to say, hey, check out this new project.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets really going. But if you don't have it right away, it's like you just said, it's hard. And the feelings that come with it when I realized I was also at the time with my kids, we had family issues, not within my family, but like in-law issues. So there was just a lot in my life going on that just didn't seem to be, like when it rains, it pours kind of a
Yeah.
and I believe honestly that that's my own stuff projecting outward too. So I don't believe like that had nothing to do with me. It sure as heck had a lot to do with me. But there was a lot going on. So when it did fail, it was just at the time I was like, of course. Of course it failed because nothing's going right. Well, yeah, nothing's going right because I'm saying nothing's going right. Like, and so I realized on that part of my journey, I realized later that what I was speaking out to everything was coming back exactly as I was saying it. So that was a great lesson. And I'm so mindful of what I throw out. I mean, our tongues are very, very sharp and they're great tools, but they can hurt and they can bring a lot into you.
There's a saying, I'm not sure who said it, but it's if you believe you can, it's true. If you believe you can't, that's also true.
And
So
grateful.
Henry Ford. So yeah, so that's the case if you what you say. And I think that this journey of, creating, developing ideas, you're more aware of your self-talk more than before because you spend so much time in your thoughts and you're realizing your thoughts are the ones that's influencing your actions, right? So now you become more careful with how you think and the words you speak because you know that you say, "Oh my god, I was just thinking that," and it actually happened, yeah, because you were thinking it, So I love because a lot of things that I'm learning about, being positive and affirmations, those things I've heard them, but they came to life for me on this journey, on the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's like being mindful of the words and the ideas and the thoughts you think about yourself are so important. So I'm happy you've overcame that. You overcame, this doubt of yourself because that is so important. Talking to yourself the right way is a very important tool on this journey.
Goodness, I absolutely agree. And I'm glad that you have found affirmations and speaking kindly to yourself too works. And you, like you said, you kind of always just been like, yeah, of course, affirmations, great. But I think once you become one, a mom, but two, an entrepreneur and an inventor, there's nobody really else that believes in you. And maybe your spouse believes in you, but like not like you believe in you. Only you can what you have is viable and people want it, and but it's only up to you. There's nobody else gonna sit there and be like, "Yay, Sandy, yeah, here." Like, you have support, but they're knocking on doors, calling people, saying, "Hey, check out my new product. How do I get it to here? Who do I call?" Like, they're just there to support. So if you don't have that confidence in yourself and that belief that you have this and that there's nobody else better for this than you, then it's just gonna be a harder journey, which it was for me, and I'm so thankful for it, honestly. I'm very thankful for my hard
Yeah.
and like, when I talk hard, it's nothing compared to, like, third world country hard. I don't mean it in that way by any means.
Us, no. But, I think also you always been a positive person. Like, you've always like, I see some of your posts in the, author groups, and you're just always so positive, "Hey, sweetie, I'll connect you here," and you're always willing to support and help other people. So, sometimes I think we're harder on ourselves, of course, than we are